Okay, the first stationary command, or the first thing we're going to do is parade rest. Okay? If you already know what parade rest is, we can get there and we'll adjust you if we need to, but basically our feet are shoulder width apart, our feet are still parallel with each other, our instrument is in front of us. Okay, probably our brass players and woodwinds about waist height, close to our body. Our chins are still up, our heads are still up. Again, this is the way that I approach it. If you have a different experience, that's okay. But for today, let's try to make our little marching band here as uniform as possible. So being different is okay, but for today, we're going to do the same. Okay? So, I'm going to take a look around. Typically, when I do parade rest, both hands are on the instrument. So, Allison, turn around for me. I know her. So, I'm going to pick on some of the Willow Gate. Jeff. Okay. Allison, turn around again. So, right. Okay, absolutely. And it's okay to have, like I said, it can be different, to have different background. Brass players, good. Saxophones, we're going to go parallel to the ground. Parallel to the ground. Yes. Brass players, trumpets, mellophone. We usually hold the instruments in the right hand, and I go left over right, actually. Okay. Trombones, nice. Battery, 6 mallets at our sides. And even though we're in parade rest, I still like our chins up, our back straight. I know that's a pretty big variation. There's a pretty large variation from band to band when it comes to parade rest. Some bands are chins down, feet are spread, your instrument is off to the side. You know, more old school, we have one of our hands behind our back. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. My style is just a little bit more simple. Okay, so when we bring ourselves to attention, there's a little less movement, the movement is a little more efficient. Okay, but it's all a matter of taste. Okay. Alright, so we've defined parade rest. Now let's define attention. Attention, our feet are together. Our instruments come up to attention position, not playing position, attention position. So for some of us, the movement with our instruments is very slight. There isn't a whole lot going on. So brass players are the center, I like to use the center of the instruments as our guide. So like the middle valve on valve instruments, okay, is it about chin level? Okay, trombones, our hands are in playing position, so that when we snap up to playing position, we don't have to do much with our hands. So, yes, very good. Very good. Our elbows are out. Flutes, clarinets, same idea as the brass were. Our horns are approximately, the center of our instruments are approximately at chin level, maybe not quite that high. Okay, but the important thing is to get the instrument away from your body and your elbows out. Chins are up, backs are straight, looking intimidating with great posture. Some of us look like we're so kind of asleep. Okay. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Okay, so this is a staccato. Go ahead and relax. This is a staccato movement from parade rest to attention. So you're going to get from the drum majors 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bend, and cut, and then on beat 4 of the second measure, we snap our left into our right forward to attention position. Okay, does anyone have any questions about parade rest or attention? Yes. Saxophones stay the same. That's an excellent question. I do not want a vocalization. Some bands use a vocalization. I do not. And that's kind of the cool thing about being the head director or having your own gig is you can make it whatever you want it to be. Again, as long as it's uniform, as long as it fits your philosophy, you can do whatever you want. I do not use vocalization, but it certainly is okay if you do, but just not today. Make it uniform today. So bring yourself to parade rest. And we're going to go to attention on the drum major's command. And go back to parade rest. Drum major break. That was a little brisk. Slow down a bit. And remember, I do not want you to give us a vocalization there. You can be silent. Let your left sliding into your right with authority be your vocalization. Here we go. And keep it up there. You're going to be given the command to go back to parade rest. It's the same movement. Left goes out from the right, but it still is a staccato movement. Instrument goes down to parade rest position and stride. And we're going to go back to position. Okay. Now this is part of my own rehearsal technique when I'm doing something with the band. Is I like to give directives, explain what I want, and then instead of critiquing the band after every single rep of an exercise, I usually let it go 5-6 times when possible, because a lot of times the issues work themselves out. I think you guys got better after every single rep of that little attention exercise. So again, I try to talk most of the time, not today of course, but most of the time I try to talk as little as possible and do as much as possible, because a lot of times with the repetitions things get a lot better. One thing I am noticing, the biggest discrepancy, some of us have our toes in, I want to say dance lingo, is this first position, dancers. Okay, I'm not a dancer, and I know I look like a dancer, but yes, first position, and that again is an option. The band I'm working with this fall does this, but I personally want your feet to be together. Okay, so that's a change. I know it's tough to force yourself today, just for today, to defer that change in there. We're going to do this exercise a couple more times, so go to parade rest, and then we'll move on. Chins are up, backs are straight. workshop isn't about woodwind or brass pedagogy, but I'm pretty sure in concert band we don't play like this. So I want to, as much as possible, to translate from marching to concert. So again, I don't expect your clarinet to be almost parallel like the flutes, okay? But I do want your elbows out, chins up, but we don't need to take it to a bad place. So, and drum line, when you're giving the band horns up, I want you to jump as high as you can in the air. I'm kidding. I just want to make sure you're awake. Okay, I haven't said anything to you guys. Okay? All right. Let's go to parade rest, and we're going to call you to attention, and then we'll do horns up. Oh yes, and while we're talking about horns up, we can talk about horns down, just the opposite. Dot, 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 dot. Band horns down, and snap back down. So we can do all of that. Rest. So, again, I heard Jermaine Brayden say staccato movement, and all of these things are staccato movements. That absence of motion is what makes these silly, or what people perceive as silly stationary commands very impressive. Is that we all snap up and down beat, and there's no extra motion. Okay, that's really impressive. That gets people's attention. So I know it's a little detail, but attention to those little details really make a huge difference in how your band looks. We're going to do that one more time. Brass players, make sure we're getting to 10 degrees above parallel. You're seeing some people still at parallel or a little bit below. Woodwinds is looking pretty good. I was going to say anything else, but it went in one ear and out the other. So let's do it again. Great rest. unfortunately, with marking time, sometimes we get a lot of, like, swagger. Did I just hear swagger? I don't know if this is swagger, but it's not what we want. Um, it's not what we want when we're doing marking time. So eliminate the hips, eliminate the upper body movement, and I also sometimes see staccato movement too. And although we just talked about how the stationary hands are staccato, this should be smooth and fluid. So I don't think we have to break it down one count by one count. You are all, I'm sure, excellent musicians and have most of you done this before. So let's bring ourselves to attention. Attention position. Braden's going to give you 8 counts, and then we start marking time. And we're going to do this in chunks of 8. So if you would count out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, over and over and over. Okay, so go ahead and bring yourselves to attention. Here we go. Let's see some marking time. 5, 6, 7, 8. Count nice and loud. 1, want to initiate on the and thing. That's a very, very good point. Okay, so if you're getting your count off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Okay, if we're scrambling to get our left heel down in time on that initial downbeat, that's probably why we want to initiate on the and of 8. Let's do that once more. Here we go. Let's move on to some forward march. I can feel the energy, the excitement here. It really is exciting, okay? Especially if you've never done this before, if you're marching at world is completely foreign, this is where it can get a little crazy when we start actually moving instead of just doing things in place. Okay, forward march. As I said, I come from a competitive background, which I guess we call core style or roll step or glide step. And that means when we do forward march, instead of lifting our feet up off of the ground, we lead with our heel, our toes are pointed, and we keep our legs as straight as we can as we roll through. Obviously, there's going to have to be a break in there somewhere. You're not going to keep your legs straight the whole time. But what competitive style forward marching does, in my opinion, it gives you the best chance to play your instrument well without all of that extra motion. I know some bands are able to pull it off with a jump step or a high step and still sound fantastic, but I think core style or roll step gives us the best chance to create the best sounds possible. So, what we're going to do is break it down just a little bit. We're going to spend a little bit of time defining it, and then we'll put multiple steps together. So, all I want to see right now is one step forward. We're going to get 18 counts, and I just want you to take the first step with the left, with the left foot. And what you're going to do is, as you bring your left heel and place it on the ground, you're going to push off with the right. So your body actually moves forward. The misconception when we just take one step forward is to just stick your leg out. We don't want that. You actually have to push off with your right as you step with your left. So if I ask you to freeze on count 1, you're actually going to be on the heel of your left and the toes, or what I like to call the platform, of your right. And again, we want to initiate on the end of 8 of the count off so that we can make it happen in time on the count. Alright, I know I just said a lot in a little space of time, so let's see what happens. I'm not. Okay, yes. Good question. Alright, let's just see one step forward. Great. Bring yourself to attention position. Yeah, instruments do not have to be playing, but bring yourself to attention. Great. And relax, get back together. I would like everyone to verbalize and 1 when we take our step, so that I know you are at least thinking about initiating on the end of 8 and pushing off don't walk tightrope, and our feet, our toes aren't pointed out. I know that's, again, kind of a common sense thing, but kids do crazy stuff. And when you start teaching marching band, if you haven't already, you're going to see really strange things. Things that you think are common sense, kids have a way of just doing in a very, very bizarre fashion. So, we want to make sure that our feet stay in a parallel track as we do this. So, when I ask you to freeze on count 1, make sure that we're not turning our heels or our toes in or out. Make sure they stay parallel. Let's see that one more time. We're doing a good job. 1 step forward. And feet together. Again. And feet together. Again, with this style, make sure that our left foot that is stepping out stays as close to the ground as possible. Again, what I'm seeing is a little bit, you can see me, of 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. We're getting a lift up off the ground, a break in the knee, and then we're placing the foot. We want to keep that left leg as straight as we can as we push off and take our step forward. Okay, let's do it a couple more times, and we'll move on. And again. Three more times. Last time. Okay, so we're going to add one more step, so we're going to take 2 steps. We're not going to do this all the way until we get to 8. Okay, that would take forever. So we're going to add just a second step so we get the idea of what our right foot has to do when it crosses through and takes steps, and then we'll put it all together. A couple of things. Make sure we don't forget about posture. This is something that even the really, really outstanding bands have to worry about throughout the season. When you start adding more and more responsibility, meaning, okay, we learned about stationary bands, and now we're talking about moving, and then we're going to incorporate music into moving, and then drill. You start to add more and more responsibility to the performer. Little things like posture tend to suffer. So that's something that you have to constantly remind your students throughout the fall. Even the really good bands, it's amazing, some of the things they have to do to clean up those little things. You would think that when you see really great bands perform, man, that's probably done in June, July, August during camp, then they never have to worry about it again. Well, that's baloney. Okay, those little things are done throughout the fall, and that's why those bands achieve it. So let's add a second step. So we're going to go 8 clicks, 1, and then 2, and I want you to freeze. So when your right foot takes its step, your feet cross on the hand of 1, and then on 2, your heel is placed. You're going to be on the heel of your right, the platform of your left. Great posture. So let's do that in time, of course. 2 steps. 2 steps. And recover, feet together. When you vocalize this, I want you to say 1 and 2. So I know that your ankles are crossing on the and 1. So let's hear and 1 and 2. Let's do it. Yes. Good question. Here we go. I know it's very difficult for some of us to keep our balance when we freeze on count two. And that's okay, because especially for those of us that haven't done this before, it's something you have to figure out. And you know, muscle memory isn't developed in 5 minutes. So certainly when you do this with your own students, it's a process, it takes time. But we're doing an excellent job. Let's do it. 5 minutes. And again. When we freeze, resist the urge to lean forward or backward with your balance. Okay, we want to stay, again, using that posture word, we want to stay straight up and down. You don't want our hips to stick out. You don't want to be leaning in any direction. We want to have perfect posture all the time. Yes.
We're resetting. Are we going back to where we started? Or we're just putting our
I'm sorry. Yeah, when I say reset, go back to where you started. That's an excellent question. Yes. The question was, how large should these steps be? And right now, I'm not worried about it. Okay? When we do some what we call 8 to 5 or 8s and 8s, then I'll talk about step size. But for now, I'm just worried about getting the mechanics down. But that's an excellent question. Okay, let's do it. 4 more times. 2 steps. Count it out. And recover. And recover. Last time. Okay, recover. Now, turn and face us forward. And we are going to do an exercise that I call it 8s and 8s forward, meaning we're going to mark time for the 8, march for 8, mark time for 8, or over and over until you're given a halt. Now, here's where step size comes into play. Most of the time, in core style or competitive style marching, we use what we call an 8 to 5 step, meaning there are 8 steps per 5 yards, 22 and a half inches for those of you that need the exact measurement, okay? It is certainly not the only step size. If we have time, hopefully we'll get into smaller step size, like a 16 to 5, where you take 16 really small steps per 5 yards. If we have time, we'd like to get into 6 to 5, which is a larger step. And then we can get into 4 to 5, you're entering a whole other realm of movement and yeah, probably won't have time to get 4 to 5 today. However, we're going to do 8 to 5s, so 8s and 8s, mark time 8, forward 8, continuously, 8 steps per yard line. So if you are starting on the yard line, you're going to end on the yard line. If you're starting splinting, you're going to hit the yard line on what time? 4. Thank you very much. Let's try it. And let us do this with instruments playing position. See what happens. So go ahead, bring yourself to attention, instruments playing position. You're going to get 8 clicks with the metronome, and then we're going to step off. Let us see what happens. 5, 6, 7, 8, and mark. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and step. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, mark. Count it out, count it out. our marching technique and our posture. Okay, again, I'm asking you to multitask. The more responsibility you get, the more things you have to think about. And I mean, trust me, the summer rehearsals are always tons of fun because when you ask 13 and 14-year-old beginning members to do this, yeah, it's going to take some time. As many of you probably already know. Let's not forget about our technique, everything that I just mentioned. And I heard a couple of you talk about staying in line or staying on the hash. Okay, again, that's another added responsibility. When we're moving, and even when we're not moving, we always want to have our eyes off of the ground and covering down or getting in line, getting to where we need to be. We started off in a block where we were in straight lines, left to right, front to back. And the goal is to keep those lines as we move. Okay, let's turn around.
Which way are we dressing? Right.
We are going to dress right. For those of you that even know what that is, if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it right now. Okay, because we are just worried about getting our feet moving in time and doing the right thing. We will definitely discuss dressing and the more we get into some of these basics, but for those of you that know what that means, let's go ahead and do this. Okay. So, we are fixed our block, we're in line, we're looking good. Remember that when we go to initiate both the mark time and the step, we have to do that on the and of count 8 before the down beat. So make sure we're not late with that. Let's try it again. Mark time 8 forward and continuously. Another vocabulary word that I'm going to be using from now on is set. If I say set, that means bring yourself to attention. And so instead of going through the motions of man, grade, rest, and instead of saying bring yourself to the attention position, your words up, it's a lot easier and more efficient to say set. So that's going to be a vocabulary word that I use from now on. 8s and 8s forward. Set. It's really fascinating to watch not only the progress in a very short amount of time, but it's I can tell who kind of the hardcore marching band people are, because those are the people that I think are saying, dress, come on, look, get in line. Like it's great, okay? Because obviously there are some of you that are pretty passionate about marching band, that are very knowledgeable about marching band, and that's a great thing to have in this group. That's going to make everyone's learning progress hopefully speed up. So let's turn around and do that once more before we get into our next basic exercise. We are still having some issues as far as making sure mark time is first. We're going to mark time 8 and then aim for 8. Okay, not the other way around. Okay, make sure it's a smooth motion. Okay, some of us are getting a little robotic and a little choppy. It's a smooth motion. Make sure our feet are moving in time. Make sure our feet and our legs are as straight as possible, and our feet are staying close to the ground. If our feet stay close to the ground, that will help straighten out our legs. Quick. And heel. And a couple of us too, and I've noticed this from the time I started with the ready halt when we were marking time. Okay, when I give you guys the halt, it's going to come on count 5 of the 8-count phrase. Okay, ready, halt. The halt's going to be on count 7, but you still have to finish the phrase, meaning you have to take a step on count 8, then we bring our feet together on 1. So, ready, halt, step, and then close or feet together on the downbeat. Okay, some of us, I feel like, are getting a little confused and want to stop on count 8 because that's the last count, but really the last count is the downbeat of the next phrase. It's kind of like finishing a musical phrase. We're not going to release a note most of the time on count 8. We're going to hold an 8-count chord and release on 1. That's the analogy I like to use, or the comparison. So make sure that we finish the phrase and our feet come together on 1. Let's do that one last time so we can kind of center the block. So let's do our forward 8s and 8s. Last time for real, and then we'll move on. Set. I heard, before we start, I heard someone, a couple people actually say toes up. Again, that's a major fundamental characteristic of our core style forward marching. Our toes should be pointed as long as possible. They don't hit the ground until we're rolling through and taking the next step. So get our toes up. Let's do it. Set. So that was a nice little refresher on our stationary commands. Again, what Brady said, absolutely true. Make sure that all of those movements are staccato. There's an absence of motion. There's no extra motion. And we are aggressive with all of those things. Does anyone need a drink of water, or are we good to keep going? What? Someone just said water's for weak. I like that. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a couple more things that involve forward march. We're going to do some forward sliding, and then we'll take a quick 5. You can use the rest of your driving drink. We'll do that after we do this. Okay, so please turn and face the flanks sideline. Okay, so before we hit backward, we're going backward march. We're going to do some forward slide. So this is how we move laterally. Sometimes you might have heard them referred to as lateral slides, okay, or forward slides. This is where we move laterally up, across the field. So what happens is our toes are going to face the scoreboard, but our upper bodies are going to face the front sideline. So do that right now. Toes facing the scoreboard, but I want you to rotate your upper bodies so that they are facing the front sideline. So in order to do But in general, I say, take your hips. If you want to shoot some 45 degrees, that's fantastic. But get those upper bodies around. Can you show me that one more time? Instruments up, leg position. It's going to feel a little awkward. You're going to feel a little pull, maybe running up your back if you're not used to doing things like this, which I don't know how many of us are. Okay, and this is how we want to relax. This is how we want our upper bodies to stay/look while we move down. Okay, so the exercise is going to be mark time 8, forward slide to the left for 8, continuously. Okay, so I would like you to start in that position with our toes facing the scoreboard, bodies, sideline. Let's try it. Mark 8, forward slide for 8, continuously. Set. Oh, cut. Wow, sorry, guys. Sorry, percussion. I'm such an awful instructor. To neglect you guys like I have been, I apologize. I get so caught up with the wind players that a lot of times it is easy to overlook percussion. We are going to learn this as a group. Percussionists, marching percussionists, do not slide. They use something called a grab step. And we are all going to learn this as a group after we grab our water, because it is important that even if you're not a percussionist or a percussion instructor, that you know exactly how your marching percussionist should move. So wow, Jeff, I apologize. That is my fault. I jumped right into slides without teaching crap. That is my fault. So percussion, just go ahead and, why don't you guys learn how to slide like the wind players, and then we'll learn to grab like you guys. I want all of you guys to do what the winds are doing and then we'll all do what you guys do. Okay. All right, here we go. We are going to slide, forward slide, 8 to 8. So bring yourself to set, and let's do it. When we slide is number one, our marching technique suffers. Okay, we're caught up in what our upper body is doing, so ultimately our technique suffers. So that's something to focus on. Secondly, as we move down the field, especially if we haven't done this before, our tendency is to go from pointing directly at the sideline as we're marching. Our upper body kind of drifts at an angle, and we end up not facing the sideline like we want to. So again, that's the second thing to really focus on or worry about while we're doing these slides. Okay, let's try it to the right. So, toes facing the other direction, upper bodies facing the home sideline. And let's do some forward sliding to the right. Now, again, we need to focus on pulling our left shoulder back so that both of our shoulders are parallel to the sideline. That means rotating our hips, feeling a nice stretch. Let's try it. Set. Count it out, count it out. Straight legs, high toes. issue right now, okay? Making sure that they stay parallel. It's something that you have to be aware of. It's something that you have to constantly be thinking about adjusting. Or, because if we don't, if we relax just a little bit, then our upper body posture is going to suffer. Okay, let's go back down to the left, then we'll come back to the right, then we'll grab water. Here we go. Forward slide, 8 to the left. Get the shoulders around, shoulders around. Ready? Up. And turn around. Go back down. So obviously there is a separation between what our lower body is doing and our upper body. Okay, our lower body is doing one thing, pointing one direction, upper body the other. And it's, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really important that you convey to your students that they have to be aware and think about what they're doing. It's so easy to mindlessly, once you kind of figure out the timing of this whole marching thing, it's really easy to kind of go on autopilot and think to yourself, well, as long as my feet are moving in time, I got this, I look good. When really, if you're not aware or thinking about what you're doing, it doesn't come across that way. Okay, you have to be thinking about your posture, you have to be thinking about your shoulders, you have to be thinking about your toes. Multitasking is the name of the game when it comes to marching band for sure. Let's do it. Forward slide to the right. Set. Count it out. And relax. Go ahead. Grab a quick jerk. You can actually leave your instruments if you don't mind. You know if they're going to get too wet. You can leave them right in your spot.
See you guys.
Okay.
Allison, are you going to be at lunch
We are
or
in our
no?
spots in the block. Battery, go ahead and go back to where you were in the block on the peripheral.
No, it's
Okay, ladies. Check. I'm gonna try to use this one more time. How to teach drill. And then the second thing we're going to do is just a very, very quick review of some of the stationary commands and things we did earlier. Please stop playing. Okay, some of the stationary commands that we did earlier. I know we haven't reviewed those for a couple hours. Again, those of you that are brand new, it never hurts to just reinforce those things. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is drill. I emailed some things to Brady. They might have been attached to the packet that you received when you walked in this morning.
I don't necessarily need you to go grab those. I just want you to have them as a point of reference. But what was included was a sheet of drill that had dots and a formation on them. Just to give you an example of what a sheet of drill looks like, those of you that are not marching band people, maybe you've never seen one. So it's basically a grid of a football field with the hash marks, and there are formations on them, and also included on a drill sheet are usually the amount of counts it takes to get to that formation, what measures there are in the music, so that all the information is there. And when it comes to drill, a lot of different ways you can approach it. You can do the drill yourself. I'm sure some of you had band directors that wrote their own drill. Some people hire specific people that specialize in writing drill to do their drill. And other people just keep it very, very simple and don't even need to write charts. They verbally just set every student on the field for each drill move, which I wouldn't recommend, but if you came from a school like that, God bless your director, because I feel like that is very complicated. So, along with drill sheets, again, we're going from my point of view, the competitive point of view, there are also things called coordinate sheets. So your students don't necessarily have to look at this sheet and figure out where exactly they are. A lot of times with more modern programs, you can print out coordinate sheets, which tell your student where they are on the field for each drill move. And I included a copy of that in your packet as well. So again, it's just a nice thing to hold on to. So when you are putting the drill on the field for the first time or setting the drill, they don't have to look at the picture and turn it upside down and try to figure
where exactly they are, they can look at the coordinate sheet and all of the information is there for you. So, right now, we're going to do just a little bit of a mock drill setting exercise. I don't have drill sheets for you. I don't have coordinate sheets for you. I'm going to keep it very, very simple. Okay? So, I would like this line to take 8 steps back. This line, 8 steps forward. This line, 8 steps back. This line, 8 steps forward. This line, 8 steps back. This line, 8 steps forward. This line, 8 steps back. This line, 8 steps forward. That line is 8 steps back.
We literally supposed to do that.
Lining up down.
And we ended up second.
Okay. Drill. And this was the first set of the show. You would all have your coordinate sheets. And I would say, find your dot on set 1. And you would look at your sheets and you would see that your coordinate for set 1 is very clear. Okay? It would probably say something like, on the 50-yard line, 8 steps behind the whole path. That's what it would say for your dot. So it's very specific as to where you are, front to back and left to right. So you would find your dot.
The plan of attack is as follows. We are going to do some backward marching. We're going to do some backward sliding. We are then going to, as a group, learn crab stepping again, which is our lateral movement for marching percussion. And then before we warm up playing-wise, we're going to try to put some things together and do some box drills. Again, many of you probably have done. It should be lots of fun. So, when it comes to backward march, go ahead, face the front sideline. When it comes to backward marching, similar to the forward, okay, when we're doing core style backward marching, we want to initiate on the end of 8, and along with stepping backward with our left foot, we want to push or propel our bodies backward with our right as well. So we're not just sticking our leg out, we are moving our body backward, hopefully 22.5 inches. As we step, we elevate to our platforms, okay? We do not, as far as the way I teach backward marching, we don't pop up to our platforms and then step out. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. We elevate nice and smooth and take a step back. Okay, listen. There are lots of variations of backward march out there. I know this. Some of us, maybe in our high school bands, it was taught or it was okay to crouch down and kind of stick our posteriors out, okay, and march that way. Some of us, it was okay to land on our heels and march backward on our heels or roll backward. Again, these are all things that that are just different than what I teach. They're not wrong. They're just different, and I'm going to say that 10 more times today at least. It's just different. So, again, for uniformity's sake, for today, when we take our first step, we elevate, push back, and we're going to stay up on those platforms the entire time that we do our backward march. For now, let's just see one step backward and hold it. So you're going to get 8 clicks of prep, and then one step backward and hold it. Instruments just at attention position. You do not have to be at the lead position. Let's try. Let's do the gong. 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. So we should be on both platforms. Okay, neither heel should be on the ground. It should be up. Some people define it as being up on your toes, but I like to say platforms. When I think on your toes, I think you almost elevate too high when you think toes. So platforms of your feet. Okay, feet together. Let's try that again. Remember, there is nothing staccato about this movement other than moving your foot. What I'm seeing is some of us are popping up onto our platforms in a staccato motion and then stepping in a staccato style. Okay, moving up to our platform should be nice and smooth. The step is what should be the more abrupt of the two movements. Let's see it again. 6, 7, 8. We still have great posture. We're not leaning forward, backward. Both of our legs are straight. And let's do it again. 7. And relax. Similar to the forward march, all right, we want to keep our legs as straight as possible and for as long as possible. So when we take our step back, we do not want to lift our foot up and then go out. We want to keep our legs straight and our quad muscles, I guess, flexed. Okay, if we relax, then we have a tendency to break the knee, break the leg. Okay, if we maintain the tension in our legs, then we have a better shot of keeping our legs straight. Let's do that a couple more times. We'll add another step. Set. And again. And again. And feet together. So, again, make sure that we are pushing off with the right as we are stepping back with the left. We're not leaning. There's no extra motion there at all. Let's add our second step, similar to the forward. When we bring our right back, we want to keep our feet as close to the ground as possible. I do not want you to drag your foot across the ground, however, so that it should come up off of the ground, but it should stay very, very close so that our legs stay as straight as possible. And we do stay up on the platforms the entire time. So when you freeze on 2, you will still be on your platforms. Let's try it. 2 steps backward. Set. So take a look down at your feet. They should be in that parallel track, just like with the forward. Okay, we should be up on our platforms. Nice and tall. sense things that unfortunately you have to convey to your students sometimes is in order to do backward march well, it takes effort and energy and thought, but it is not easy. You have to physically engage your muscles to do it well. And I'm telling you, and you know, I'm sure those of you that have taught high school marching bands already, is some kids it's like pulling teeth to get them to actually put muscular energy and effort into what they're doing. It's really frustrating sometimes. So just make sure that you stress that if the tension, actually, I know that's not always a positive word, but in this case it is. When the tension is there, it's easier to keep your legs straight and control your upper body on the backward march. Let's do it. 2 steps backward. And again. And feet together. Again, resist the urge to pick your foot way up off of the ground as we are marching backward. We want to keep them close to the ground and our legs straight. Let's do that 3 more times and put it all together. Set. Again. And last time. And let's turn and face the, not the scoreboard, the other end zone. Matt the mellophone asked me if I teach pinch the butt, okay, which is not meant to be derogatory in any way. It means that as we elevate and march backward, we, I guess, flex our glutes, so to speak, keep your glutes nice and tight as we march so that not only we maintain our posture and we eliminate upper body motion, but it helps us keep our legs straight as well. That's what I was talking about with tension. Okay, a lot of times tension is not the greatest word to use, especially when it comes to playing and embouchure and things like that. But in this case, with our backward marching, if there is tension from our ankles all the way up through our glutes, if there's tension there the whole time, it's really going to help us keep our legs straight and, again, eliminate upper body motion. That's one of the biggest issues with backward marching is we get a lot of bouncing. Our knees bend and we get bouncing, and that's not good. We want to keep our legs nice and straight and eliminate that so we can sound as good as possible when we play. So let's mark time 8, backward march 8 continuously. Remember, we marked time first. Still had some issues with that with the forward march, the sliding. So mark time 8, backward march 8 continuously. Make sure our first step is a true step backward. Okay, a lot of times we do not end up where we should after 8 counts of marching because that first step is not big enough. And especially for beginners, our backward step size isn't big enough in general, but especially the first step. Okay, let's try it. Mark 8, backward 8 continuously. Let's go to playing position. So set. Ready, hold. Okay, relax. That was slightly disastrous. Okay, so remember when we do this, legs stay straight. We stay up on the platforms. I saw a lot of people landing on your heels, and when we do that, not only do we run the risk of tripping and falling because we're digging our heels into the ground, but again, it causes that bouncing effect. And we haven't even started playing yet. Believe me, we're going to hear that in the sound if we do that with our marching. So stay up on the platforms. The tension in our legs absorbs the shock, and we should stay nice and tall. Let's try it again. Mark time 8, backward 8 continuously. Set.
Ready, up, and relax.
So, I still feel like some of us are very insecure as far as we're moving backward and I can't see behind me, so I feel like I'm either going to trip or run into someone, and this is a mess. I just feel like there's a lack of confidence there from some of us. And that rightfully so if you've never done this before. But it's really important that you trust yourself, number one. You're definitely coordinated enough that it's not going to be a total mess, okay? You can move backward, and everyone else is moving backward, so you don't have anything to be afraid of in that respect. But also, keeping your eyes up and not on the ground. I know, again, you're moving backward, you want to make sure you're taking big enough steps, you want to make sure you end up where you should, but if you keep your eyes on the ground, that's really all you can see. But if you get your eyes up, all of a sudden you can see people around you, you can see more of the field, and you can use more of those things to your advantage as far as being your guide, making sure you end up where you are. If you look at the ground, you still can't see behind you, so I'm not sure, again, and it's a tendency that every young marching band student has. Almost all of them stare at the ground, especially for the backward march. That's a bad habit to develop. So get our eyes up off of the ground, use your surroundings, use your peripheral vision, and believe it or not, getting your eyes up off of the ground will help your posture and hopefully help you keep your legs straight as well, because you're not so concerned with what's going on the ground. So let's do it. Again, let's flip it around. Toes facing the scoreboard. 8s and 8s continuously with our eyes up.
Looking good with our legs straight, our feet in that parallel track. Lots of things to think about. Set. Ready? Oh! And relax.
Getting better, it's getting better. Let's turn around, do it again.
The biggest issue as an ensemble, as a group, the biggest issue that I'm seeing is still our eyes are staring at the ground, which is causing our instruments to be pointed towards the ground, which is causing us to have bent knees. So I feel like they're all related. If we get our eyes up and our instrument up, we're going to just lengthen our body in general. It's going to help us keep our legs straight. Okay, that's the biggest thing. If we can eliminate some of that, it would be a good thing. Let's do it. Set.
I love the progress we're making in a very short amount of time. If only the ensembles you guys are going to end up teaching would progress this quickly. Because I'm telling you, it's everything that we're doing today, this morning, are things that I think most band directors have to implement starting in July or whenever you have your rehearsals, all the way through until when school starts. So this is like a crash course. And we can do that because you guys are very bright and you guys have marching experience, some of you, and you know, you guys have the ability to absorb all this information. Unfortunately, again, adolescent teenagers that are super easily distracted, not always the case. So let's keep plugging away. We'll do our backward march one more time, and then we'll do some backward slides. Set.
Same posture, nice and tall. Stay up on your platforms. No heels. Straight legs. Ready? Up. And relax.
All right. Toes facing the opposite end zone, so flip around. Upper bodies facing the home sideline. Okay, let's just hold this posture. So toes facing end zone, upper bodies, shoulders parallel to the home sideline. Feel the stretch. Okay.
Because I'm a nerd that says the bass goes through. So, yeah.
If you thought doing a forward slide was awkward, doing a backward slide is awkwarder. Okay? Okay, it is going to be uncomfortable to do it if you're doing it correctly or doing it well. You're going to feel that stretch. Okay? You're going to want, your left shoulder is going to want to spin around and ruin your posture so badly. You have to fight that. You have to pull that left shoulder back so that your shoulders stay parallel to the sideline. Fight it, okay? And it's the same premise as the forward slide. You've got to rotate the hips. You've got to be aware of what's going on with your body at all times. Because if you don't, if you take it for granted, if we get a little lazy, then the posture falls apart. So, let's try it. Let's mark time 8, backward slide 8 continuously. Set. Yes, absolutely. Okay, and that is very typical of first-time marchers or when you've got your band together for the first couple of rehearsals and you're teaching basics or you're reviewing basics. Okay, everything usually is fine when you go to teach regular backward marching, but as soon as you ask your students to do a slide and add that extra element of separating the lower body, bad things can happen. Okay, so it's just a matter of awareness, muscle memory, and incorporating basics into as many rehearsals, if not every rehearsal, that you can. Okay, let's flip around. Our toes are facing the scoreboard. Upper bodies are facing the sideline. Get those hips around, get the shoulders Pitch our instruments up, good playing position. Let's do some right backward slide seamlessly. Set. Count it out, count it out. Those shoulders around, the hips around. Feel the stretch. Feel the awkwardness. Embrace the awkwardness. Ready? Up and relax. So there's a reason behind everything we do, and I'm going to get into that this afternoon as far as having a reason behind everything you're teaching your students, being accountable for everything, and being able to, if a student ever asks, why are we doing this, being able to give them an answer instead of just, well, because that's what I want to do, or because that's just the way. Okay. The reason, obviously, we do slides is because, number one, we want to play to the audience most of the time. And number two, we're not going to just move forward and backward, and forward and backward. Okay, we're going to move laterally. Okay, so there is definitely a reason and a purpose behind this, and as awkward physically as it might be. We're going to do 2 more reps of the sliding, and then we're going to learn some crabbing. So let's have our toes face the end zone. Question? Yes. Well, it doesn't matter. Very good question. The question was for SACs is what should your instrument orientation be when you're sliding? And it should be facing, your shoulders should be parallel to the front sideline. So you should be facing the front sideline the entire time. All right? And if your instrument was at attention position, same thing. Your shoulders would still be parallel to the sideline. Your instrument would just be down at attention position. Okay. Any other questions while we're stopped? These are all fantastic questions. Every question that's been asked. Okay. Toes facing end zone. Upper bodies facing home sideline. Let's do some sliding. Let's go up to 120. Let's get crazy. And set. Shoulders, shoulders, hips, shoulders, hips. Straight leg. Ready? Up. And relax. Let's turn it around. The last time. And set. Percussion, grab your equipment, please. Everybody else turn and face the front sideline. Take this opportunity to look left and right and look in front of you, and let's try to clean up this block a little bit. Make sure that we are in the lines that we started with.
Heel should be on the half. Heel
Okay, so crab stepping, again, is something that for the most part is unique to the marching percussion section. However, I've seen it many times for a couple of drill sets in wind players. Like, for example, I've seen it in competitive marching bands as a visual effect where for one set, 116 count set, obviously if the entire ensemble is moving laterally, instead of doing a slide, the entire ensemble crab steps, and it is something different. It is something unique, but most of the time it is percussion specific. So, what it entails is instead of your toes facing the end zones and sliding, your toes essentially stay pointed towards the home sideline. And instead of marching in our usual manner of crossing our ankles in a parallel fashion, they cross in front. Okay? I'm not really sure how we get crab out of this. I'm not really sure what the origin is of the definition. I don't know that crabs necessarily walk like that. I'm not a marine biologist by any means. But that's what we call it. So, when we move to the left, we're going to do that first. Let's start with our feet together. Okay, on count one, when we are crabbing to the left, we elevate slightly on our platform, similar to the backward march, and we move our left. Sorry. We're going to go to the right first. My fault. We're going to go to the right. So we elevate slightly on our platforms, and we move our left foot and cross it in front of our right. That's on count one. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. When we end up on both platforms, we're elevated slightly. Should be relatively comfortable, relatively easy to maintain our balance. So can you just show me what count one looks like without any metronome or anything? Just take that first step forward, or first step to the right. And bring our feet together. And go ahead and take that first step again, just on your own. Now, since our legs are going to be crossing over one another, it's important that when we take that first step, if you can see me, that we don't swing our foot in front and then put it next to our right. We're not going 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Okay, it's just not right. Okay, incorrect. Okay, it should be slightly in front of your right foot so that the right foot can pass behind. Okay, if your left foot is blocking the path of the right, that's bad. Make sure we're not doing that. So show me count one once more on your own. Go ahead. Now move to count 2. So count 2, essentially, you're still on the platforms. Your feet are approximately shoulder width. And it should be a nice, smooth motion when we take these steps, similar to our forward and backward march. So, can I see 2 steps? I don't want to see just one. I want to jump right to 2 steps to the right with our got block. So you're going to get 8 counts prep and take 2 crab steps to the right. Instruments can be just at attention position. You do not have to be at playing position. I would like you to be at attention. Let's try it. Set. 5.
6, 7, 8, 1, 2.
And feet together. And let's try it again. Set.
5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, and 2.
And again. Not sure I understand the question. And again.
5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, and 2.
And feet together. Let's try 8 counts, please. We are not going to do mark time. She's just, drum major Brittany is going to give you 8 counts of prep, and then just take 8 crab steps to the right and stop. No marking time. Let's try it.
5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1.
And relax. So, yeah. Obviously for us wind players, something totally different than what really we've ever done before. And I don't know if you wind players, if you've had marching experience in the past, you've ever been asked to do a crab step, okay? But just make sure that the timing of it is still the same as forward and backward marching. You don't want to rush through it. We still plant our platforms on the downbeats, okay? We still take all the counts, the entire count, and all of the counts to complete our 8-count phrase. We don't want to get there early, all right? Everything stays the same, fundamentally, with the exception of, instead of marching on our heels forward and backwards, we're obviously doing something a little bit different with our feet. Let's do it again. No mark time, 8 crabs to the right. Set.
5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1.
And relax. And just like with everything else we've done, we want as little upper body movement as possible. So that being said, really work to control. Again, there's going to be some tension. There's going to be some tension in your legs to control that upper body motion. And you're going to find that your feet, instead of rolling back to front, okay, you're almost, as you plant, you're going to roll them side to side. And that's going to help kind of stabilize. We don't want you to pick your feet up and plant them really hard in the ground. You almost get this left to right rolling sensation as you grab. Let's do it again. To the right, 8 counts.
5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1.
And I know I'm giving you lots of information, but as we do this, we do want to keep our hips and shoulders parallel to the sideline. I see some people kind of turning off to an angle. Okay, make sure we stay parallel. What's going to help us is if our toes stay as close to perpendicular as possible, big word, perpendicular as possible to the sideline. Okay, if our toes are pointing in the right direction, that's going to set the rest of our bodies up for success. Once more to the right, then we'll go to the left. 8 counts, traps to the right. Set.
5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1.
And relax. All right. Now, when we go to the left, the technique is essentially the same. We want to elevate, take a step to the left with our left foot. What's going to happen is our right is then going to cross in front of our left when we do multiple steps. Does that make sense? So show me count 1. Our left, we elevate, take a step to our left. Stay up on our platforms. Your foot is going to move slightly, slightly behind your hip so that you can cross the right in front. Again, if we move directly parallel with the sideline, it makes it that much more difficult to cross our right in front of our left, so we have to kind of cheat a little bit in that regard. So it's going to be slightly behind us, but still to the left as we elevate to our platforms. Can I see that again on your own? Go ahead. Take a grab to the left. And feet together. Go ahead and take 2 steps on your own, left then right. Yeah, you just simply cross the right in front of the left. together. Let's do 2 steps in time, please. 2 steps in time. Set. And look down at your feet. Make sure your toes are pointing in the right direction. We don't want any toes pointing to the end zone. We want them pointing as close to the home sideline as possible. And let's do it again. Set. And again. And let's do 8 counts, please. 8 counts. And relax. So it's all about being aware of what your feet are doing. We all are understanding this crossover concept. We're all understanding that our feet need to be in time, but I feel like our toes are all over the place, which means our hips and our shoulders are kind of all over the place as well. So that's one thing you definitely need to think about and stress to your students is we want to stay parallel to the sideline, our hips and our shoulders. Let's do it again. Stretch. And again. Set. And last time. Set. And relax. Here's the exercise. Here's the exercise. You're going to mark time 8. Now think about this. Mark time 8. Crab to the left 8. Mark time 8. Crab to the right 8. Mark time 8. Crab to the left 8. So on and so forth. Got it? So it starts with the mark time. You go to the left first. Then we mark time. We go to the right. Then we mark time. Go to the left until I give you a halt. Let's try it. Set. Mark time first. Ready? Halt. And relax. Do that one more time. Okay, same exact thing. Set. Here we go.
Mark 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
the last thing we're going to do before we do some playing is we're going to do box drills. So this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to put some things together that we obviously have been doing up to this point. And the name is very self-explanatory. They are boxes. All right. And today, for our sake, we're going to do them in 8-count phrases. So you're going to start off with a mark time. You're going to forward march 8. You're going to go to the left 8, doing a forward slide. You're going to do backward 8. And then you're going to go to the right 8, using a forward slide. So your upper body is always facing the home sideline. All right, now you might be asking, well, how do I negotiate the transition from forward to a left slide or backward to a right slide? Again, this is where there are lots of different ways or interpretations of how to do it. Some band programs pivot, okay? Some band programs do what we call a stab on count 8, and then you push yourself in the right direction on count 1. Some people do kind of a hybrid prep step where you roll on an angle on count 8, and then you go. Okay, so depending on your background, you probably, maybe that's something even that I didn't just talk about. You did something different. For, again, our purposes today, I like to teach the stab on count 8 with your platform, and then you push yourself in the new direction, count 8 to 1. Well, why do I do that? Well, because to me, the stab sets you up for the best possible angle when making your boxes. Okay? Not that a pivot is bad, but that's just not what I teach. I don't teach pivoting in anything, so why would I teach it here? Okay? So I also think that if you do a hybrid kind of prep step on an angle, you're not really making a sharp corner for your box. So again, the purpose behind my stabs are, it sets us up right on count 8. You create that pivot point, or not even a pivot point, that sharp angle, and then when you push yourself in the right direction, you're making a nice clean box, a nice clean 90 degree, 90 degree angle. The geometry is not good. So, all right, so let's try it. All right, for time's sake, we're not going to break it down count by count or transition by transition. Let's just see if we can negotiate that. So when we get to count 8, we're going to stab and go. And then the same thing. When we go from our slide to our backward, we're going to stab and push ourselves back. And then we're going to stab and push ourselves in the right direction. Okay? Let's try it. Box, we're going to call this box A. Does everyone remember the directions? Mark time 8, forward 8, to the left 8, doing a forward slide. Back 8, to the right 8, doing a forward slide. Those of you that feel very confident with this, please help out the people that don't feel very confident. Go ahead and shout out the directions. That's okay with me. Yeah, battery, if we could crab.